Here's something we've been talking about a lot over the last couple days. Actually, I know these two guys have been talking a lot about it. I have hundreds of text messages to prove it. But we're going to talk about the NHL trade deadline. We were hoping to get a stream going for the trade deadline, but fortunately it didn't, because this was one of the most boring trade deadlines in recent memory. But Filk, I'm going to start with you. Who made the best move at the trade deadline?
I'm going to say a non-playoff team made the best move at the deadline, and that was Steve Yzerman up to his old ways in Detroit, absolutely taking the Washington Capitals to the woodshed for Anthony Mantha. I don't know how he got that. Does he extort general managers or something? Does he have like pictures of them? Does he have like them on speed dial and he says, "Oh, well, I'm going to hold your family hostage" or something like that? Because I don't know how he gets these returns. He did it to Sather in 2014 for Marty St. Louis, and he did the same exact thing to Washington the other day. So, yeah, I mean, I would have said Jacob Vrana for Anthony Mantha straight across would have actually been a pretty decent deal. Maybe if you wanted to add the second-round pick, okay, because I know Anthony Mantha last year was on pace for like 30 goals and over 70 points, and that's really good, but he only had like 38 points in like a 43-game season or something like that, or a 48-game season or something, but it just went way too much for Anthony Mantha, so Steve Yzerman made the best move.
You know, I think it's easy to say, you know, either the Bruins, the Islanders, or, you know, the Maple Leafs, but I think also, too, another non-playoff team, I think Columbus did a really good job. You know, they got 2 first-round picks for Savard and Foligno. And for a team that looks like they could be retooling possibly, you know, that will help. You know, Savard, first-round pick, he doesn't put up the offensive numbers, and he is good defensively, but I didn't think to the level that he would cost the first. And then Foligno, I mean, Foligno doesn't put up the offensive numbers anymore, and yeah, you know, you could talk about his game and what he brings, like the intangibles, and, you know, he's a hard-nosed player. But at his age, to get a first for his production-wise, I mean, I think that's a big win for Jarmo Kekalainen and Columbus. So I would say Columbus had a really good day as well. Good couple of days. So that would be my pick. But I mean, if you want to talk about buyers as a whole, you know, I think you got to either give it to the Bruins or the Islanders because they got the top 2 players that were available. There weren't many guys that moved. So just by, you know, just the obvious connection, I would say that one of those 2 teams.
I'm still trying to figure out what team did the best out of the contenders. I can tell you, though, you're 100% right, Phil. It's got to be Steve Yzerman. Steve Yzerman, who got a first-rounder, a second-rounder, a fourth-rounder. He had a fourth-rounder for David Savard. He wasn't even involved in anything. It was like, yeah, I'll take some cap money. Yeah, it's okay. Right. It's I'm trying to think of what he got back from Colorado. But also, you know what? If you want to say, yeah, for Nemeth, if you want to say what a contending team that did very well, the Colorado Avalanche. They didn't dismantle their team or anything. They just said, we're gonna add. That's it. I know. It's okay, John. We could get with the we can get with that later, but
I'll explain later.
So, okay, who was the winner? Who improved the most, guys? We'll start with Anthony. And give me a definitive answer. Don't hedge. You can't say the Islanders and someone else.
All right. So I would say for the winner, just because I know we mentioned Detroit, but playoff teams contenders, I would say it is the Islanders because they got 2 pieces. They got Zajac and Palmieri. Those were big adds. Palmieri offensively, Zajac gives them the depth. And then they added Coburn, another depth piece. You know, he has a cup, so if a guy like Dobson goes down, they put a veteran in there that, you know, knows how to play playoff hockey. I considered giving it to Boston, but my thing is I don't know what Taylor Hall is going to show up in Boston. You know, Taylor Hall is a hockey player that's not playing with much confidence right now, rightfully so. He was on a terrible team, didn't have good numbers. And he's slowly starting to develop this stigma attached to him. Just reading articles over the last couple of days that he's an individual player, he's a me player. He goes to teams and they start losing, and that could really affect the player. So I'm interested to see how he does in Boston. But kind of for those reasons, I chose the Islanders as the winner there.
I had a tough time with this one because of the fact that I really did like the Islanders' move. Zajac and Palmieri do a lot for them. But if you look at all of the moves Toronto made overall between Riley Nash, Nick Foligno, Ben Hutton was a solid ad for them. They basically addressed their bottom six depth. They added a defenseman. I thought they could have used Savard. Savard would have been a better use of a first-round pick for me than Nick Foligno. You know what? I'm going to have to say Toronto in the end because the Islanders got two pieces that they needed, and I thought it was really good for them. But Toronto really improved in a lot of different areas with their additions. And I know they made more additions, obviously, but I heard it best on NHL Network. They made the comparison to Tampa Bay when Tampa Bay brought in Gaudreau and Blake Coleman last year. Toronto is one of those teams where they have great regular seasons, and then they go into the playoffs, and they face those more physical, tougher playoff-type teams, and then they get eliminated. I think these moves, along with, well, I'm not even going to say Thornton and Spezza at this point because those are the preseason moves, obviously, but those moves are going to help them come playoff time. And I really think that they're going to be a tougher team to play against now. I just think that the one thing that they didn't do was add goaltending, and they did with Riddick, and I like that.
Riddick, yeah.
But I don't know if it's enough of a needle mover for them. We'll see. So, but I think I like Toronto the best, and I think the Islanders are a very, very, very close second. It was really a tough call for me.
Yeah, because it's a bit of a head scratcher for the East Division. Well, I'll get into that in a minute. But I really like what the Islanders did. That they're going to attack you with wave and wave and wave of depth, and other than the Barzell line, which has got Matthew Barzell on it, I mean, they're basically three of the same units that are it's going to be like beach erosion, except it's going to be a lot faster. It's going to be whoosh, just eating away at teams. So I very much, they're going to be a tough out again. And I really don't want to watch another Islander playoff game. And I'm going to get at least, I think, 2 rounds of it. I hope not. But I'll wear my Phantom on my sleeve with that. But I'm also saying they're going to succeed. So, All right. Put your comments below. How much do you hate me? So it's I got to go with that. Anthony Mantha, the way that I'm kind of categorizing this is I think Washington's philosophy is to attack with the size. The Islanders is to attack with the depth. And Pittsburgh was trying to just accrue talent. We'll find out who's got the best philosophy at the end. Because the true, you want to know who the true winner in this draft was? Anyone from the 2003 draft. Because Braden Coburn got traded to the Islanders. He might win another Stanley Cup. Jeff Carter went to the Penguins. He might win another Stanley Cup. Right, just saying he might. There's a word might. They're my prediction to win the division. And hell, Ryan Getzlaf was being talked about. So I guess the other question to ask would be, Phil, what can we possibly get for Hugh Jessman right now for going the other way? I mean, because he could probably help the team win a cup.
The last jock that L Rock used that is somewhere in a dumpster or in a landfill that's probably ridden with like fleas, shit, and all other stuff.
Okay, so guys, who's the team that lost out? John, start up.
I mean, I don't know if I could say lost out for Washington because of the fact that, I mean, even though I think that was a bad deal, they still got a good player in Anthony Mantha out of it. I don't like the size philosophies, especially after the Islanders absolutely skated circles around them last year. Thought that was probably a bad idea to get rid of one of your fastest skaters in Jacob Vrana, probably their fastest skater. I don't think Colorado did enough. I really don't. I like the Dubnyk deal for them. I just don't know what he's got left. Nemeth is really a depth piece. Soderberg is a good ad. I do like that ad. I think that was probably their best move. But I really don't think they did enough. And I thought Vegas should have done more, too, than Janmark. I mean, not that they really need much more, but if you're going all in for it, go all in and do something big, or try to get more pieces than just Janmark. So I'm probably gonna have to say Colorado because I don't think they really improved enough.
I'm gonna go with the Carolina Hurricanes. They literally did nothing, and they're in a tight division. I mean, I know we're gonna talk about races later, but that division right now, Tampa Bay, them, and Florida all have 58, 60 points. And the Tampa Bay got Savard, and Florida got Montour, signed Nikita Gusev, traded for Sam Bennett. The Hurricanes, they're a really good team. They're right there, but they didn't do anything. They didn't add anybody. I mean, they traded Hayden Fleury, but that trade's not going to bear any significance on their playoff run at all. So, they did nothing. I felt they could have added a Matthias Janmark or try to acquire a Taylor Hall or Kyle Palmieri. I felt like they needed something to keep up, and they didn't do anything. So. That's a baffling decision. I mean, because I think they are a really good team. I think they could have adding another piece could have really helped them if they had to go through a tough Tampa Bay team or even Florida. And they didn't do that. So I would say they're the losers for me.
I'm going to go slightly off the board, and it's going to be the Edmonton Oilers. They added zero.
Kulikov.
Yeah, Dmitry Kulikov. Okay. Let me know. You know what that moves the needle? You move that needle like this. This one does this to me. It's like, yeah. So basically, they're saying, "Hey, Connor McDavid, you'll take us as far as you can. Good job, boys, because that philosophy has worked for the last 5 years." I mean, the Winnipeg Jets also, they didn't improve at all. And yes, the Carolina Hurricanes, but you could also argue they're a good team right now. That maybe Peter Mrazek is their deadline deal, getting him back. Yeah, I agree with you on that, John.
I don't mean to cut you off, but the only thing that I can say about Carolina is, yeah, I do agree with Anthony that they're definitely a loser, and I actually kind of forgot about them because they didn't make any moves and they were really quiet. But the only thing that I'll say is that the answer for their problems, which is goaltending, really wasn't available this deadline. So I kind of don't blame them for not making a move, but I agree. Anthony should have done something.
Well, the thing is, again, you look at their goaltenders; they all got solid numbers, but again, are they needle movers? Are they a guy that you're going to look over and go, that guy's going to steal us a game in the playoffs or two or a round? I mean, I you know what, Anthony? Here comes a compliment. I'd rather have Ilya Sorokin in net, and it's not even that I don't think Ilya Sorokin's not a good goalie. It's just you throw that on a rookie, it doesn't always happen. So, because this is going to lead us into our next question. What was the most confusing move? We'll go. Oh wait, I'm trying to look at which one he wants to answer first. John.
Wow, you're gonna put me on the spot here. Oh man, I would probably have to say the Mantha move. I mean, I like I explained before, I don't get how you get knocked out by a team that's absolutely out skating you left and right, and then you go for more size. I don't get that. I don't understand it. I don't understand also giving up that much for it. It does not make any sense to me.
While Filk was answering, I was kind of racking my brain trying to think what I could think of, and since there weren't many moves that were period, and the ones that did happen, I didn't think any of them were really confusing, so that leads me to agree with John. I think that the Mantha move is the most confusing one because, I mean, Washington, they paid a second-round pick just to get rid of Richard Panik, which, I get they have their mind on next season and cap space, but, I mean,
why would you
really that? I just don't understand it. I don't. Vrana's a good hockey player. He scored 25 goals last year. He's fast. I guess he's undesirable in the defensive zone. I guess maybe you could call him he's a tad soft too, but
Anthony Mantha isn't good defensively either.
Yeah. I don't know.
Mantha, by the way, did score in his first game as a Washington Capital, and I believe it was the game winner. I have to double check that. I'm gonna go with a confusing move, and again another off the board one. Sam Bennett for the second round pick last year and another second round pick.
Oh.
I know he's got RFA status. That's what makes him a little bit more valuable. But really, Sam Bennett, you got him for that. You're paying all that for one good playoff run, and I mean, albeit good luck to Sam Bennett. I hope he succeeds in Florida. But that's a lot. That's a steep price to pay.
Way too much.
Yeah.
And because it's been a while since we talked about him, we have to mention this. Tony DeAngelo rejected the offer from New York Rangers to mutually terminate his contract that allowed him to become a free agent, and the Montreal Canadiens were prepared to sign him. John, your thoughts?
I understand that he would have lost out on an upwards of about $3 million by doing so. He would have gotten a deal similar to Nikita Gusev's, maybe even less because he's more of a PR risk, obviously, than Gusev. But he would have lost out on almost about $3 million that way. This is a player with minimal career earnings. Probably has a total career earnings of about maybe $4 million, I would say. So you don't want to lose out on $3 million. His next deal is probably going to be his real last chance in the NHL. So if it doesn't work out and he has to go play overseas, he'd rather have the money in his pocket that he's going to get from the buyout and then get paid by a second team next year while getting his buyout money from the Rangers. So it's completely understandable. Our team's going to look at him and say, well, character problem, red flag, because he took the money. I don't know. I think teams are going to take a step back at him and look at how much money, especially like the PA, the agents and stuff like that. They'll sit there and they'll explain that to the team, obviously. And I think the teams already know that, considering they have to know how the CBA works with these deals. So I don't think it's going to be a big problem, but I understand why he didn't want to mutually terminate his contract. I don't think any of the three of us would have done it either. So. Oh,
no, I don't think so either. Anthony?
I agree with John. I totally get the financial aspect from it. I was in his position, probably would have done the same thing. But just play devil's advocate here. I also think some teams could possibly think, it's a bad look. He's coming off a situation where he didn't see the ice ever again for the Rangers because he started a fight with his own teammate in the locker room, not even the locker room, in the runway after a game. And then, not that I think it matters because people change, but going back further, his name has been in news that you don't really want your name to be in. So I think when you encompass that as a whole, some teams may look at, okay, well, this guy had a second chance to play again this season, meaning for a playoff team, playoff hockey, and he chose not to. I think some teams might look at that as a bad look for him. So, but again, I do get the financial aspect of it. I just kind of playing devil's advocate there, but kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I feel though if the guy truly did want to play hockey, though, he might have just bit the bullet. Said, okay, I know I'm losing money here, but if I sign at Montreal, I'm a good citizen. I put up good numbers. I play well. Maybe I'll make up for that money when I sign my next deal in the summer. So
no, you know what? No, because he would have to go off to a point where he's putting up probably a point per game down the stretch in the playoffs to get significantly higher than what his next deal would be. Because you got to think of it. Gusev just got 1 year, $1 million, and it's prorated, obviously. Mm-hmm. But if Gusev would have waited until next year, he probably would have gotten the same type of deal, almost the same figure, and then he wouldn't be making up the money. It's on to the next deal. So what if he goes in there and he just can't adjust to their system, which takes time, and he bumps? Then he's screwed. And then the next team is going to want to take a flyer on him because of the fact that he went into a situation where the odds were against him and he wasn't able to produce. So it doesn't make any sense for Tony.
Sometimes the problem of having three smart guys on the podcast is when two of them give the exact opinions I was about to give. I don't need to say anything now. So the real question I have and is now going to be, what is next for Tony DeAngelo? Can he go to another organization, another city, and completely remove this stigma that was given to him in New York? I'll start by saying I think if you go to like a Canadian city, depending on where it is, it's gone. You don't have to worry about hearing about any of the tweets that were on Twitter with him or who he voted for president. I think if he went to, say, Dallas, he doesn't have to worry about that. Or Florida. There are teams that I think that can take a risk on him, and he still might have a future in the NHL. I still think the Rangers should have tried eating the contract and moving him. He's an asset. You could have done something. But boys, where do you see Anthony DeAngelo in the future?
I don't.
I called him Anthony DeAngelo too.
Yeah.
Is he in trouble?
He hasn't been called that in a while, but but I don't know where exactly I see him. I could see him end up going to Montreal. I mean, they could use another puck mover. If you think about it, unless Alex Romanov really blows them away in the playoffs or something like that, and he looks like he's going to be that guy, then they could save the cap space and go elsewhere. I don't know where exactly he ends up, but I can tell you this. This whole situation would have never gotten to the point that it did if this team had a good veteran leadership group. They had a veteran coach, and they were more of a veteran team. This is what happens on younger teams. So it doesn't matter where he goes, whether it's Canada, Dallas, Florida, doesn't matter. He has to go to a team with a strong leadership group and a veteran coach. And if he turns things around, which I think there just might be a little chance that he's finally wisened up and realizes that this is his last chance. Unless he likes playing in Siberia. I mean, I guess, Siberia, the weather's nice at the time of year. But, he's got to go to a veteran team with a good leadership group and a veteran coach, because this ain't going to fly.
I can honestly see him going to, you mentioned Florida for their political, fandom, if you want to call it that. But
he's not going to get ostracized.
Yeah,
so.
I can picture him going to the Panthers, especially early in the year. There were rumors they were trying to move Keith Yandel, and they were going to scratch him and put his consecutive game in jeopardy. I mean, it never happened, and now the guy's been playing. But if they finally move him in the offseason, I think DeAngelo can replace him. Both offensive type of defensemen. Because let's face it, he's not going to a team like a Barry Trotz run team. There's no way. So he needs to go to the right system and the right coach, as John said. So I think Florida could be a good fit for him.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it when John and I are shaking our heads in unison like that. Like just now. He's not going to Barry Trotz's team. Nope. Although, you know what? How about this? Especially after the buyout, Toronto Maple Leafs could be in play because they're up against the cap, like a one-year deal.
They don't need puck movers, though. They need more two-way guys. I would say Toronto would probably be a team that would probably stay away from him.
Okay. Well,
I think that we didn't cover this part. Who is, in your guys' opinion, the biggest surprise of not being moved by the deadline? What player did you think was going to be moved that ended up not being moved? I've got one right off the top of my head if you want me to go.
Yeah, go with yours first because I think it might be the same as mine.
Josh Manson from Anaheim. Defenders were in high demand. He has term. He's got term at a reasonable price too. But to me, Josh Manson would have been the absolute perfect fit for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you wanted, like I said, you wanted to go spend a first rounder on somebody. I said, you'd rather spend it on David Savard than Nick Foligno if you're Toronto. Josh Manson would have been the guy that I would have spent the first rounder on. And if I'm Columbus, if I'm Anaheim at that point, I am trying to squeeze Rodion Amarov along with that first rounder out of Toronto in that trade. And I know that Dubas probably wouldn't want to give up Amarov, but maybe a Liljegren or someone like that, because I know they're not going to give up Rasmus Sandin because they're super high on him. But Josh Manson and Anaheim.
Same team, Rickard Rakell. I thought for sure somebody was going to go. Isn't he like 2 years removed from a 30-goal season?
Yes.
He's only the only reason why he's not scoring is because Anaheim is so terrible right now. But I definitely thought somebody was going to take a shot at him. But he's still young enough where I guess he could be part of the rebuild. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised Ryan Getzlaf wasn't traded. They were talking about Vegas. He said he was going to go to Vegas if they could work that out. I'm going to have to address this, and I just have to address it because of previous mentions. Because I was on the train of move Pavel Buchnevich, but I also said it could be at the trade deadline or the draft, because you can't have too many first line prospects. Or every line can't be a first line prospect. No. You can't have a first line on every line. So it's his contract situation is going to make it difficult. But him being an RFA, they'll figure out what to do with him. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the trade deadline, and who made the best move? Who made the most confusing move? Any of us right, wrong, good looking? So put them all in the comments below. Though Anthony's taken, so that's not really the case. John and I are available though.
I don't know why you'd go after me.
All right. Well, why wouldn't they, John?
Did you like that video? Of course you did. So why not check out some more of our content? You can check the playlist right here or right here.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.